Okay, good evening, esteemed authorities, professor, and fellow college. We are truly honored to present the findings of our academic research project developed for the master degree English language at Universidad Espíritu Santo. Today, we will present our applied study titles to evaluate the impact of quizzes-based gamification on reading engagement, and grammar accuracy in sophomore level 1 EFL student at St. Urdesa English Private Academy in Guayaquil. Thank you, Mister. Let's go with the next slide. So, this study, of course, responds to a clear classroom reality. A1 level students struggle with grammar, especially when using the present simple tense. And often they got a lack of motivation during readings and grammar activities. Traditional instruction, of course, methods are not always effective for today learners. Our research, of course, is guided by the communicative language teaching, it means the CLT method, which emphasizes active motivation and real-world communication over memorization of grammar rules. Gamification for platforms like Quizizz align well with CLT because it allows for interactive learning, peer collaboration, and real-time feedback. Of course, we also refer with Foliwoti quote 2023, in which he said, who found that quizzes, especially as in paper mode, enhanced grammar outcomes, promote inclusivity, and reduce screen fatigue. These features, of course, are really essential for classroom with limited technology access, like ours at St. Ordesa. In our context, of course, a student always struggle to form clear, correct sentence, which also affects reading comprehension. Therefore, our research proposed using quizzes as a dynamic gamified learning tool to reduce grammar errors and increase participation. By the way, recently it has been a change in the name of our studies tool. Now it is called Wayground by Quizzes. However, our study, we used the name as a quizzes. So as you can see in this slide, we are going to talk about, this is our agenda for this article from the top, the bottom up to down. We have the introduction, the literature review, methodology, finding, discussion, conclusion, the strong limitation, and of course, the future research area. Now, please, the next slide. Thank you, fellow college. The next one, thank you, Mr. Okay, as you can see here, we have the research question and the general objective, the problem statement, and the justification. So, in our study, we explored three core questions. That was, how does gamification influence the construction of sentence or in present simple tense? The second question was related with what are student perceptions of using quizzes for grammar learning. And finally, we have the question number 3, that is, can quizzes help reduce grammatical errors in real time? Here, as you can see in our slide, we have the justification. It means that this research, this article is stemmed from a classroom reality where a student displayed a low motivation during grammar instruction and limited engagement while they are doing reading activities. So, in other hand, traditional methods such as drill, such as worksheet, the ones that all the students do in the classroom, did not meet the cognitive or emotional needs of this digital native generation. If we talk about our general objective, we will refer that was to evaluate whether the integration of quizzes, a gamified learning platform in which could improve, could enhance accuracy, grammar accuracy in the present simple tense, and of course increase reading engagement among a one level EFL students. Next one, thank you, Mr. Sebastian. The next one. So let's gonna talk about the literature review now. This is one of the most important part. So let's gonna get this over with. Let's gonna make in contact with this information. So the setting and the scope. As I mentioned before, in this article, we have already studied 30 students, in which there was carried out a Centro Ecuatoriano Norteamericano at St. Mordesa. 30 students were divided into groups. The first one, 15 students, was divided in quizzes by using gamification, this important tool. The other 15 students was divided by doing and working and using the traditional method. So let's gonna talk about theoretical aspect about this exposition, this article. As you can see here, from right to left, we have the dependent variable and we have the independent variable. As you can see, as an independent variable, we have the grammar and reading. And here, in this case, we're focusing in grammar strategies and we're focusing in benefits. As you can see, it's saying, of course, the benefit by using gamification is that give us the possibility that the student at sense level have a better learning in the English language both. It means grammar and reading. In the other hand, we have the dependent variable as a grammar proficiency, in which the students are really familiar with the rule, but they are always struggle with the rules because they have to memorize each kind of rule, and in sometimes it's gonna be hard for them. So when we talk about the grammar proficiency, many students perceive the listening and speaking as more challenging and essential. Of course, the student always face difficulty by using the word, but in a translation English word way. The next one, please. Thank you, Mr. Sebastian. Here in this slide, we are gonna find the grammatification strategy in reading and grammar, of course. We have the grammatification strategy, we have the feedback mechanism, also we have the reading engagement, and finally we have the participation in gamified activities. If we talk about the gamification strategy, of course, according with a citation that we used in our article, according with Fuentes and Varga 2024, it notes that gamification promotes student engagement and learning autonomy. If we talk about, of course, the student participation, studies revealed that tools like Quizizz, Kahoot, but in our case, the Wayground, the new one, as a name, increase, of course, the classroom participation through interactive feedback, looks, and competition-based motivation. And finally, we have the completion rate of quizzes and real-time feedback utilization. As you can see here in this section, it's really important to integrate the multimedia section, multimedia components such as audio, music, visual aid, in order to have a better understanding and very interactive between student and teacher as well. The next one, please. Thank you. Finally, in this section, we have the motivation survey and we have the participation in reading strategy activities as well. As you can see here, according with this percentage, over 85% of students, according with Suharni and Amelia 2021, this important quote, this citation, the student felt motivated and more focused using game-based platform. And in the next one, we have the result that might not be applicable to broader population. They provide valuable insight. And finally, the participation in reading activities, it means that the genuine advantage of a classroom setting up as setting engagement in evidence is the student cognitive state. Now, let's go now listen our partner, Sebastian. He's going to explain more about details by giving us the details with the methodology design section. Here we go, Sebastian. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Torres. All right. Well, it is time to deepen into methodology, right? Well, basically, the methodology that we use in this research is based on the three questions that you can see here. The first question is, how does gamification impact students' ability to construct sentences using the present simple tense? This was based on the instruments pre-test and post-test. Then we stated the question, what are private academy students' perceptions on gamified learning as a tool for mastering grammar rules? And for this, we used a survey. And finally, how effective are gamified feedback tools, such as quizzes, in identifying and reducing grammatical errors in sentence formation? For this, we used observation and checklist as instruments to measure this. Within this, the methodology, we can state that the study was made at Centro Ecuatoriano Norteamericano, which is the institution where I work, and that gave us the chance to apply the study over there. Then, as a central topic of the research, we have the gamification in education. Then, the type of research that we did was the applied research. Uh, Regarding the methodological approach, we have qualitative, quantitative, and mixed. And last but not least, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the research instruments were the pre and post test, survey, satisfactory survey, and a checklist. Okay. Now, as the central and most important section of the study, we have the findings. Okay. It is important to highlight what Mr. Torres mentioned. This study included 30 students. These students are members of the sophomore A1 level, which is the group that worked for us to do the study and try to make it as real as possible. Okay. Now, we divided this group of 30 students into two groups. Well, the first group, which was made up by 15 students, was learning the simple present tense in the traditional method, which this is with textbooks and all the resources that were old-fashioned. And the second group, which is the rest of the 15 students, used the technological tools, just like Quizizz, and gave a different approach to the type of learning that they received. Said this, we can analyze that in the age, the majority percentage was ages between 25 and 29 students, which made up the 40% of the total sample. Okay. Then this graphics that you are going to see on the screen right now show the survey results and observations. On your left, as you can see the score, the orange bar shows the pre-test. This pre-test was applied to both teams, okay, both groups. And as you can see, the results that they obtained were not absolutely satisfactory. You can see some results that were the 50%. And then with the yellow bar, we have the post-test traditional. It's exactly the same group, which was evaluated after 30 days, but showed similar results. Not exactly the same, but similar. But here states the core of our study. Okay, in the green bar, you can see the post-test gamification. This means that the team or the group that studied using technological tools like Quizizz, that is the main one, ended up showing considerably higher results, higher scores at their post-test. Okay, so that means that the apply of the digital tools was pretty effective. Then in the second one, in the second graph that you can see, the satisfaction with traditional methods and gamification shows in 5 indicators that the gamification method stands above the traditional method, either in understanding the grammar rules, in motivation during activities, in enjoyment during activities, in focus during the grammar reading test, and the confidence at the moment of using simple present. The group that had this exposure to the technology, to the quizzes itself, shows a better performance, a better development in their study. After this, we can see the commitment to reading. Okay. Same case, the gamification method, which is represented in yellow bars, show higher levels of commitment if we compare them with the traditional method, which is in an orange bar, and shows lower levels of commitment and satisfaction. Then the teaching observation with rating shows something similar. As we can see, there is a trend which keeps in time, which is maintained through all the study. The yellow bar shows that gamification stands above the traditional method, either in the focus on the rating, participation in discussions, the questioning skills, the enthusiasm by rating. So all of these indicators, which are essential through the learning teaching process, show that the gamification stands above the traditional method and gives us the results that at first we expected. And last but not least, the grammar accuracy checklist. Either in confidence during grammar tests, accuracy in present simple usage, self-correction attempts, responding to feedback, and participation in grammar activities show that gamification has a higher level of acceptance within the students. And something curious about this last instrument was that in self-correction attempts and participation in grammar activities, we can see that level 5 was reached. That means that in 100%, it was approved by the students. Okay? Well, now, as a guide for observation within the classroom, here we can see in the graphic a spatial distribution of the class, right? We have the application of grammatical topics, the application of readings, the participation of class, and all of this distributed in the right way and applying the digital methodology gives us better results, just like we expected at first. Well, as the indicator interview and learner interview, which were also the assessment instruments that we used, in the gamification section, as educators, as teachers, we had a very favorable result, a very favorable outcome in comparison to the traditional that released some results that were not as good as we expected. In some way, in the learner's interview, we had a correlation in relation originally to the educator interview. They showed a good attainance to the gamification and some resistance onto the traditional method, right? Well, now I want to give pass to our dear classmate, Mr. Moreira, who is going to talk to you about the discussion. Okay, Mr. Moreira, all yours.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian. So, this research supported by the global tutorial competitive graphs confirms that gamification significantly outperforms traditional teaching method in three key areas of English learning. They are grammar improvement, reading comprehension, and student engagement. Let's begin with grammar. Data revealed that gamification led to 8 up to 100% effectiveness in the students' use of the present simple tense, self-correction, and participation in grammar-related tasks. By contrast, the traditional method only reached 20 up to 40% effectiveness. This shows us that interactive game-based environments promote active learning, encourage students to internalize grammatical structure through experimentation and feedback rather than passive memorization. But the benefits go beyond accuracy because gamified platform provides instant feedback, fosters safe space to fail, and boosts student autonomy. Only 13.3% of the students felt that they how to use grammar rules through traditional instruction. In contrast, 84% reported satisfaction and understanding in a gamified setting. These numbers reflect shifts in classroom dynamics from teacher-centered to learner-centered environment. Let's move on to reading comprehension and motivation. The improvement are just as this striking. Motivation to complete tasks reach 100% with gamification, compared to only 40% in traditional lessons. Participation in discussions jumped from 20% to 80%. These findings suggest that gamification enhances not only academic performance, but also emotional engagement, self-confidence, motivation, what we often call the affective domain of learning. This shift aligns closely with Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. Gamification provides scaffolding, zone of proximal development, and peer collaboration. In a sense, gamified learning creates a social and interactive context where students construct knowledge through meaningful and engaging activity, just as Vygotsky envisioned. All right, so what does this mean for us as educators? The data supports the gradual integration of gamification into the curriculum design, not replacing everything, but blending playful learning with core content delivery. This approach is especially important today as our students are digital natives. They expect and respond better to interact visual and dynamic environments. When we meet in halfway, we foster more meaningful, autonomous, and informative learning experiences. All right, next, please. Okay, so in conclusion, gamification is not just a trend, it's a powerful pedagogical tool that improves not only linguistic performance, but also learning attitudes, motivation, and classroom classmate. If we want to prepare students for real world of communication, critical thinking, and lifelong learning, we must innovate, and gamification offers us one effective path forward. Next, please. Strength and limitations. During this research, we could notice that this fostered active students' involvement and the use of repetition, strength, the memorization of the student, and long-term retention as well. On the other hand, the limitations we could face here was the lack of integration gamified tools like Quizizz to foster active students' participation and enhance prior knowledge retrieval. And also the limited access to digital tools like Quizizz. Next, please. Future research areas. Based on recognized strengths and weaknesses, various research avenues may develop essential concerning the effects of cognitive affective stages and grammar and reading abilities. Upcoming research could investigate their last effects and their capacity to enhance language instruction methods. Repeat this study in Quito, the country's capital, to obtain a larger sample and compare the results obtained in Guayaquil. Besides, explore the benefits of interactivity, immediate feedback, and motivation that Quizizz offers in English language learning. Apart from that, evaluate the impact of gamification with Quizizz platform on information retention compared to traditional methods in various educational contexts. The educational strategies start from or go through different stages like boosting student motivation, active participation by customizing instruction using data tracking. The last but not least, reducing anxiety during grammar practices with interactive and playful formats. Next, please. Next, we will have a look at the bibliography references that we can find in this research. Okay, so that's been all. I don't know, my partner Sebastian wants to say something.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Well, in the name of our team, Mr. Torres, Mr. Moreira, and me, Mr. Romero, I want to thank you for having watched all our intervention. In the name of Universidad Espíritu Santo, we would like to thank you for all the tools, all the teachings that you have provided to us throughout all this master's program. And well, that's it. We want to send you a big hug and lots of blessings for all of us. In the name of the three of us, we want to thank you all, and we hope that you had enjoyed our presentation. We did it with a lot of love, and that's been it. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.